Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. You know the kid Bishop running for president for 2024. I'm officially able to, at being at 30, having just turned 35 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? A lot of projects are coming on. We're bringing the graduation party into life. A political party, finally, that's not so left or so far right that we're not going to get anything done, progress in unison. But that has me actually paying attention to the political landscape of things. You know what I mean? Something we don't, you know, in the hip hop community, we don't normally do. But a lot of campaign trailing going on. You got Barack, he was up in Philly. You had Trump that was in Pittsburgh. You got Biden that was in New York. You know what I mean? So supporting Governor Kathy Hochul, Hochul, however you say that. Nevertheless, you got 40 million votes so far early on that have already been casted. 40 million early votes ahead of the upcoming midterms. So you had, and you still got wars going on the legislature level, whereas in Pennsylvania, the NAACP and other groups are suing state election officials for implementing the last minute a rule that says that any mail-in ballot votes that don't have a written date on the outer envelope is not going to be counted. So there's lawsuits going on there. Over in Missouri, you got them trying to get rid of, a judge actually had to block a new law that said it to where like get out the vote initiatives on the local level were you know what I mean, basically being restricted, like, you know, and it was purposely targeting, it seemed like it was purposely targeting Democrats and black people. Then over in Atlanta, you got Cobb County voters, Atlanta, Georgia, suing their state election officials for discounting 1,000 votes, or essentially not sending out 1,000 ballots for mail-in ballot requests. So you also got the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, heading that lawsuit, as long as saying that there needs to be an extension to November 14th for actual midterm election votes. At the same time, they calling for the elections to be set out to where those rules need to be changed in general, because it's a lot of it's coming off as voter suppression aimed at specific groups. Bring war on graduation though. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out thegraduationparty.org for high quality, very affordable, and highly accessible mathematics tutoring from expert tutors like myself, who've been doing so for 15 plus years, have degrees in math and science and all of that, or other qualified tutors. We can help you get from an F to a C or from a C to an A. Now, moving on into the news, you have the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights urging Twitter's new founder, Elon Musk, you know, former CEO and founder of Tesla and SpaceX, who actually recently acquired Twitter for $44 billion and then began mass layoffs, cut the CFO, the CEO, began mass firings this past Friday. In this open letter, they're urging Twitter's new founder to ensure human rights are central to the management of Twitter under your leadership. And that part is in quotes, where the United Nations High Commissioner also condemned Elon Musk for these mass firings, which actually included the entire human rights staff at Twitter, as well as most of its ethical AI team, artificial intelligence team, that is. So, you know, the people that focus on the ethics of such. So this actually, according to Bloomberg Television, they actually had to hire back some of these people that were let go in these mass firings, because, you know, a lot of the people that were fired were the ones working on the you know, making sure that misinformation isn't getting put out there, whatever, especially on the political tip. And this is very interesting time because, you know, we're in the United States of America, we're dealing with midterm elections right now. So for this to happen, you know, it's like, you know, it's starting to look sus. Now also you have what's going on, the journalists and voting rights advocates are actually worried because Twitter has like a new subscription model that'll actually allow you to subscribe, pay $8 a month to get your blue check, as opposed to it being based on like whether they can verify it's you and your popularity. So there are fears that people will be able to just have all sorts of false accounts with these blue checks and they're looking like they're official when they're really not. So this is but obviously raising very, like, if you know the purpose of the blue check is to ensure that whoever person this is, that is really them. You know what I mean? That whether they have a team of their own people, whatever, doing so or not, so be it. But that's their account. You know what I'm saying? This famous person, this person of importance. So if you're able to buy a check just for a subscription, and you can pretend that you can actually and pretend to be somebody that's not even really there. You can pretend to be an official news source or not. So it would seem like the best way to handle it would be for people to just stop using Twitter. Twitter is very much a part ingrained in American society right now. So much so that every tweet goes to the Library of Congress. However, maybe it's time for that type of stuff to come to an end. Now, Elon Musk, I've been waiting. Me personally, been waiting to see. I felt like people were prematurely assuming that you were gonna use Twitter for the right wing, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Or like, mess it up. And I was waiting to see. I didn't necessarily think that would happen, or that you were necessarily working for the right wing and doing so. I didn't want to jump to that assumption just because you advocate for free speech. However, it seems like your latest actions are proving some of these people like Sean King to be right. You know what I'm saying? Green Wall and graduation. You definitely gonna let Trump back on Twitter though. That we know. And if y'all follow me at all, and me having that petition I had in the past or whatever, I'm not for that. But Green Wall and graduation. The world of the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out thegraduationparty.org if you want high quality, very affordable, and highly accessible mathematics tutoring for yourself or a loved one. You can get expert help from an experienced tutor like myself, been doing so for over 15 years and have degrees in math and science, or you can get it from another qualified tutor. Now, moving on into the news, you actually have over in Ukraine, specifically in Kyiv, the capital, they're bracing themselves for a dark winter because the city has actually completely lost power. No electricity and no water. And you have the officials, political officials in Kyiv telling residents to actually brace themselves for a backup plan as they head into this dark winter that they're headed for. Now, keep in mind, Russia has actually attacked and destroyed 40% of the country of Ukraine's power grid. So you got other cities like even Kherson just lost all of their power, where you have in this area that's actually bracing themselves for a major battle because you got Russian troops like positioning themselves to essentially take over, as I've been recently reporting. You also have the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, saying that they're going to continue to battle against these Iranian drones that Russia is using against them. Now, over in Iran, in Tehran, capital, they have confirmed that they actually have sold drones to Russia, but they said they did so months before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, if you've been following me, I recently said that Iran had actually denied providing Russia with drones, but now they're confirming it. But it's like, oh no, but we did that months ago. You mean to tell me y'all ain't know they was about to make a move on Ukraine, really? Or y'all didn't even want to know what they was buying all those drones for? I don't know. Maybe not. Green Wall graduation though. The world of the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So it's been found that National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has actually been having undisclosed meetings with Russian officials with hopes of actually reducing the threat of nuclear weapon use. Now, this is happening while you have the leader of China, Xi Jinping, in a rare rebuke of Russia's nuclear posture, being called as saying in Beijing while speaking with the German Chancellor that the international community should jointly oppose the use and threat of nuclear weapons, which is kind of like what Russia has been doing, and them basically holding down all of the nuclear facilities and reactors in Ukraine and threatening the use of their weapons, using their nuclear weapons, that is. You also have the Washington Post reporting that they've been trying to tell that the United States has been secretly telling Ukrainian officials to stop publicly rejecting peace talks with Russia and Moscow, Moscow being the capital of Russia, and that to appear open to negotiations, not necessarily to lead to negotiations, but to actually, so that they don't deter or alienate other countries who are kind of staying away from the situation in fear that there's going to be war in Ukraine. Green War and Graduation, though. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Egypt, you actually had the United Nations Climate Summit, COP27, COP27, actually kicking off with, you have Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, kicking off opening remarks, saying that, you know, the UN report on climate change showing that these past 8 years are actually on track to be in the hottest years ever recorded in the history of the planet Earth, in recorded history, that is. And then you also have the Guterres saying that, you know, it was a report on climate chaos, and that we're actually on the highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator. So, you know, some might consider this to be fear-mongering. Some might consider him to just be stating what the facts are. I'm sure a lot of climate activists would, but what are we to do? Green War and Graduation. News reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, the Climate Summit, the United Nations Climate Summit, the COP27, the COP27 is actually taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. And the president of COP27, who's also the Egyptian Foreign Minister, Sameh Shoukry, Sameh spelled S-A-M-E-H, Shoukry spelled S-H-O-U-K-R-Y, actually said for the first time that this summit will address the need for rich nations to actually compensate the poorer nations in the global south for climate change catastrophe, since it's the rich nations that are doing most of the pollution, and then you have the poorer nations that are more ill-equipped to deal with the effects of catastrophic climate change and, you know, terrible inclement weather. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org to get high quality, highly affordable, and highly accessible mathematics tutoring for yourself or a loved one. Now, moving on into the news. I told y'all COP27 is going on out there in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. COP27 being the United Nations Climate Summit. And people are worried because the 25,000 attendees actually are being required to use the COP27 smartphone app, which asks for access to your location, requires access to your location as well as your photos, as well as even your emails. So people are in fear because Egypt has an authoritarian government. They're going to use that data to actually spy on people and crack down on any sort of dissent, essentially, and silence any dissent. Now, you have hundreds of activists being arrested in the weeks leading up until this summit, and you know, it's obviously becoming a problem. People are demanding that they see some change in their governments regarding the pollution and what we're going to do about climate change. Now, out of the activists, you actually got Sanai C, a popular Egyptian activist and film editor who arrived this past Sunday, and she's demanding the release of her brother, Alaa El-Fattah, who is considered to be a political prisoner, and he's actually an Egyptian and British political prisoner or whatever, and he's been on a 6-month hunger strike, and he just intensified his hunger strike to exclude water. So now he's not going to be taking anything after 6 months of no food, and has started that since the start of the summit. You have the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of color for Britain, Rishi Sunak, actually saying that he's going to bring it up while attending the summit, and that, you know, bringing El-Fattah home is actually a primary concern of his as a British national, as well as a human rights advocate. So we'll see how this all turns out. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Over in Iran, they still have protests erupting. This is the 7th straight week that these protests have actually been going on. And right now, it's spreading to the colleges, college campuses. It's all over the streets of Tehran being the capital of Iran. All of this following the murder of 22-year-old Kurdish woman Mahsa Amini, who actually was murdered while being in custody of Iran's so-called morality police. Apparently, she was arrested for wearing her hijab incorrectly. Now, recently, these crackdowns on these protests have actually been violent. Police have actually been killing people. Rights groups are saying that 318 demonstrators, as well as 38 of Iran's security forces, have been murdered. 49 of these demonstrators who've been murdered have actually been children. So this going on is looking like there's not going to be, that something's got to give. This past Sunday, a majority of the lawmakers of Iran's parliament actually declared these demonstrators as enemies of God. And some of them are actually calling for the death penalty for some of these protesters. Meanwhile, there's video published on social media of these protesters in the street saying clerics get out. You know what I'm saying? So that's they want a separation of church and state. It makes me wonder about the people in the United States of America who actually advocate for the combination of church and state. Something to think about. Real graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org to get high quality math tutoring for yourself or a loved one. This tutoring is also highly affordable and highly accessible, and you'll get it from experts such as myself, who've been tutoring for over 15 years and have degrees in mathematics and science, or another qualified tutor. Now, moving on into the news, over in Syria, they're still dealing with, their holy wars over there. And with war, you have displaced people that are just trying to find safety. And there's a lot of displaced people outside near the border of the northwestern city of Idlib. And Syrian government forces actually bombed this tent camp and reportedly have killed at least 9 people, including 3 children, and then wounded over 24 others. Green War and graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, over in Italy, we're 2 weeks into the new regime of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, far right, a chick that's considered to be far right, who's vowed to put a crackdown on asylum seekers and immigration coming into the country. And this was definitely at play this past Sunday, where these rescue ships full of hundreds of asylum seekers were actually denied entry into the country by way of Sicily. So they remain on the Sicilian coast as of now, at least 250 of them. Some minors, children have actually, and people that are deemed like sick or vulnerable by the Italian government have been allowed to come into the country. However, everyone else is being forced to stay out at bay. Now you have the captain of the Humanity One, which is a boat that's put out by a German non-government organization, a German NGO known as SOS Humanity, saying that by law they are allowed to allow these people to disembark at a place of safety. And it's not just about the 104 unaccompanied minors that they have, but it's also that everybody on there deserves to disembark in a place of safety. And they're refusing to actually leave the Sicilian coast until everybody is allowed to get off the boat. So there seems to be a standstill right there. But keep in mind that Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, vowed to make this thing as far as rejecting foreign-run migrant rescue ships from just dumping off immigrants into their country as they see it as. So what's your take on this? What's your thoughts? What about people out in Italy and Europe? How y'all feeling about this Green War and graduation? For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So this past Sunday in Lake Victoria in Tanzania, there was a commercial airline led by a commercial airline jet flown by Precision Air that actually crashed into the lake, killing 19 people. 26 people have been rescued. They actually blamed the crash on bad weather. Green War and graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So So over in Iowa, in the United States, you had authorities looking for 18-year-old Piper Lewis. This is a black chick who was actually, at the age of 15, had actually killed her rapist and her sex trafficker, and was essentially sentenced to 5 years probation while at this correctional facility for it, at this correction center. And she actually was ordered to pay restitution to the victim's family, ordered by the rate of $150,000. Now, there's a crowdfunding campaign that actually raised $500,000 to actually cover that, because you can imagine how unfair that shit is and sounds. Well, Piper Lewis has actually escaped from the correction center, and unfortunately, this could give her 2 decades behind bars if she's found and then, charged and penalized for violating the terms of her probation. But, you know what I'm saying, the terms seem bogus anyway, don't they? So, if you do come across a Piper Lewis, keep all of this in mind. Green War and Graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox Newz Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org to get yourself or a loved one some mathematics tutoring. Now moving on into the news. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is actually warning that the United States is in a flu epidemic currently, with hospitalizations, cases, and deaths from the flu nearly doubling last week, where you have so far 730 flu-related deaths in the United States. And at the same time, it said that 5 million less flu vaccinations were given out this year in comparison to 2021 at this time. So with that being said, there's a high alarm. Government is saying that they're prepared to deploy troops, FEMA personnel, as well as ventilators to hospitals all around the country as we brace ourselves for what they're calling a triple-demic. Epidemics dealing with the flu, RSV, and COVID-19. Now, RSV is a respiratory illness, gets into the nose, throat, and lungs, and infants are said to have had it, almost all infants are said to have had it at least once before they're the age of 2. However, they're trying to vaccinate for it. You have Pfizer, who put out the first COVID-19 vaccines in the United States, actually saying that their RSV vaccine is 80% effective for infants up to 6 months old when given to pregnant women. So they're looking like they're going to encourage giving these pregnant women taking these vaccines to protect their children from RSV. Is all of this necessary? That's the question. A very valid question. I don't think you're a conspiracy theorist if you ask that question. If anything, you're being scientifically astute. Don't let people bully you into taking a vaccine if you don't feel like it's the right thing to do, because you might not trust the establishment. You don't have to. That's your human right not to trust the establishment, especially when it's an establishment that has lied in the past or exaggerated or hyperbolized threats. Green War and Graduation. Stay